Yeah, hello. I would love to talk on prayer today. And my reason behind talking about prayer because there are so many misconceptions on prayer and how it operates. So today I'd love to give perspectives on how prayer has worked for me and prayer how it should be approached. You see, prayer is a means of communication between God and man. It's a medium where humanity and divinity get to collide for communication, for fellowship. And in the process of prayer, something ought to happen. It's called a transference. There should be a revelation from God to man and a burden from man to God. That's where we pour out our hearts. That's where we get to receive the very essence of God. Prayer is not just a means of communication alone, it's a means of divine transference of possibilities, where the very nature, essence, life, character, power of God can be transferred from God to man. So a lot of people really have so many misconceptions in prayer, especially praying in the spirit. Praying in the spirit is a tremendous weapon that grants man divine access into the realm of the spirit. You see, the realm of the spirit was designed in such a way that there are so many foundations, structures, and layers for us to access God. And prayer is one of the foundational layers or foundational tenets we use in accessing God. Prayer. Prayer is a divine communication. It's a tool of weapon. Is a means that change possibilities upon the surface of the earth. So when we approach prayer, there are so many foundational tenets and principles we must abide in for us to get it rightly done. If not, we'll be accessing or approaching it from a carnal perspective or from a wrong perspective and without actually achieving the result thereof. For me, I see prayer as bringing down the move of God. That's one of the aspects I want to talk about today. I see prayer as bringing down the move of God. If you count in ancient times, in biblical times, in histories, in ancient times, you see men who accessed prayer. They assess it as a means whereby they see the hand of God coming down. They saw God at work. They saw divine manifestations of the outpouring of the Spirit. They saw tremendous power available. They saw how through prayers men can actually carry the life and power of the Spirit upon the surface of the earth. The the fundamental move that brings down revival upon the surface of the earth is prayer. When men are dissatisfied, when men are hungry to see another dimension of God, when men are hungry to see the experiential workings of the Spirit. Without prayer, there's no way you can really access the move of God. Prayer is the foundational power or the host that brings divine possibilities upon the surface of the earth. And if we should see, or if we want to see the times, the moves of our fathers, if we want to see the move of the Spirit, we must access prayer or approach prayer as a tool in sponsoring every revival. The reason why revival don't last is because men stopped praying. Men start bringing traditions, start bringing doctrinal perspective, and it quenched the move of God. Every time every revival lasted, or what initiated the move of the Spirit was prayer. Men prayed until they begin to touch certain possibilities in God. If you check the Phoenix revival, the Azusa revival, men stayed and prayed prayers, protracted prayer. They prayed for long until they saw something beyond the realm of the mind into the realm of the spirit. Because from my own understanding, I see prayer as what sponsors the very hand of God into action. When men pray, God was always ready to respond. When men pray, God was always ready to act. Excuse me. So prayer for me, it's what sponsored the move of the Spirit. Every genuine revival came upon the wings of prayer. Like in the book of Acts, as you can see, Acts chapter 2, you see, it was a platform in which God was trying to introduce a kind of move upon the surface of the earth. And Christ had to tell the disciples to tarry ye in Jerusalem. That was Acts chapter 1. Tarry ye in Jerusalem until you are endued with power. Tarry ye in Jerusalem. That's the principle of prayer. Tarrying. We have lost that act of waiting before the Lord. In the book of Psalms, you hear the psalmist say, I patiently wait upon the Lord, and he inclined me and set me upon my feet. You see, the principle of tarrying before the Lord has been lost. And these were the ancient mysteries. Men like Charles G. Finney, men like Charles Dick, men like Alexander Dewey, men like the Jeffrey brothers. These were the principles they applied for them to see tremendous results upon the earth. So when men prayed, God moved. Even the act of apostles, the reason why the book was called the Act of the Apostles, because something came in and it was the move of God which was sponsored upon the wings of prayer. When prayer came upon the church of Acts, something happened. They began to experience tremendous power available. Miracles, signs, wonders, everything began to change because they saw something beyond the realm of the physical, transcending into the realm of the spirit. So I believe for me, prayer sponsors the move of God. And one of the things that actually sponsor revival is when men are hungry to see the act of God at work. You see, prayer has been limited to just emotions, to just activity. You see, when we call religion act, it means activities without life. And when we get to pray, something should happen in the place of prayer. Something, I believe, something should happen in the wings of prayer. Now, when men pray, something tremendous should happen. There should be a divine exchange. There should be a sacrifice upon the altar. Something should be burning. I always wish that I will not just die as a mere man, I will die as a burning coals. Like there should be fire springing forth upon that altar. There should be something. That's where we generate sufficient capacity. That's where we accommodate the very essence of God. It's a divine transfer. When we pray, there should be a divine seed that leaves the realm of the spirit into the physical, that sponsors us to become the very nature and the life of God through us. That's what prayer does. Prayer draws us into divine possibilities. Prayer draws us into accessing the very essence of God. When men prayed, something happened. They began to look more of God. There was a transference. Something began to happen. Brokenness was achieved. Surrender was achieved. But in this day and time, men pray, but we don't see those possibilities at work. Because why? That vlogs the act of waiting. When you pour your heart, you see, if you check the book of James, chapter 5, verse 16 and 17, it says the earnest and effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man makes tremendous power available. That scripture shows us principles that actually brings us into divine possibility that sponsors the move of the spirit. Principles that actually grant us efficiency and as regarding how to access the move of God. The effectual, that means prayer must be effective. You must give your time, you must give your whole, you must give your heart to it. Prayer must be efficient, effective prayer, effective, fervent. That means it must be consistent. That's what draws the hand of God. Consistency. It sponsors the move of the spirit. Consistency. Every spirit upon the surface of the earth are attracted by consistency. Whenever you begin to do something consistent enough upon the surface of the earth, you are generating an altar that sponsors spirit activities. When you give today and stop giving, actually, you're not actually sponsoring, striking an eternal calling of the spirit. When you pray today and don't pray tomorrow, you're not actually creating a physical location upon the earth that can attract spirits. The reason why we call it altar because of two things. One, it has the ability to hold sacrifice. Two, it has the ability to be consistent. We can call you an effective priest when you consistently visit an altar. When you come there consistently. By so doing, eventually something will happen. That place will begin to have an spiritual activity that can host spirits. When you come today, you don't come tomorrow. You start doing haphazardly. By that, you can't have attentions of spirits. Spirits are moved by sacrifice, and it takes sacrifice to be consistent. Spirits are moved by diligence. They are moved by those who have lived emotions and enter into principles. And if you can step into that realm, there's no way the realm of the spirit will never have your attention. So the effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man. You see another principle there. A righteous man makes tremendous power available. One of the things prayer done to you is grant us the ability to begin to have the very nature of God, which is righteousness. For God is holy. You see, there are three things that make God God. For the life of God, the power of God, the nature of God, the character of God. These are things that actually makes God God. So if you claim you actually fellowship with that divinity, something should begin to happen to you. You should start carrying the nature of God, the righteousness of God. So when we begin to pray, something start happening. There is a spirit transfer that actually makes us to begin to carry out the very nature of God. That means we lack the ability to fall into temptation. Not that we can't fall into temptation, but it's a divine enablement that helps us to live a holy life. Are you with me? So the effectual prayer The effectual fervent prayer of the righteous man makes tremendous power available. And this is what I saw upon the lives of the generals. They were effective. They were consistent. And through their consistency, they attained a posture of righteousness. They became living coals. Their life were altars. They were like sacrifice upon their altar. So God could burn. God set them on fire. God used them to do mighty things. God used them to achieve more possibilities because they were like instruments upon the hand of the Lord. They create moves of the Spirit that actually slain men up until today. Churches like Methodist were still benefactory of those moves. They actually they change history. They brought something real. But in this modern day and time, when you start talking about the power of God, it's as though it's lacking because of one thing. Men have lost the act of tarrying before the Lord. So Christ told his disciples, tarry ye in Jerusalem until ye are endued with power. That's how power functions. If you want to see the move of God in your life, you must make sure you know how to tarry. I'm not trying to say you should place hours to prayer, but a time will come. The dissatisfaction in your heart will make you stay longer. The challenges in life, my goal is just to not just to be a Christian, but to influence the whole world with Christianity. That through my life, men can get to see the light in Christianity. Through my life, men can get to carry the very fire of God in the Spirit. Men can get to burn because why? I'm actually presenting myself as a living sacrifice upon my altar. That's how it should be. If the move of God is casting in your life, in your territory, in your family, men stopped praying. Men stopped praying effective prayers that can move the hand of God. Men, stop praying. Before prayer can work for you, prayer must work through you. You must be an agent of prayer. You must pray prayers. Prayers must become your lifestyle. Your lifestyle. Prayer must affect your heart. It must change your character. We are so much interested in power move. No, before you can get to the power dimension, wait, let prayer work through you. Let prayer construct the love of God in your spirit. Let prayer shape your character. Let prayer bring you to the point whereby you can actually pant after God, where you are desperate to see more of God, not just his power, more of him in that season. Some certain things begin to happen to you. You can't stay around the king and not have the benefactor of the king. You can't stay around the king and not have the gift of the king. If you stay so much with God, the atmosphere of God begins to rub through you. If I wear a perfume and you consistently stay with me, a time you come, you begin to smell like me. And that's the power. We need revival. We need the move of God. We need the move of God. We need the move of the Spirit. We need the move of God. We need the move. We need the move of God. We need revival to come. Revive us, O Lord, and restore your works.